What's up, everybody? Today's video I'm going to talk to you about some things you can do to keep your grass looking green throughout the summertime. If you have cool season grass like me, this is probably one of the most stressful times on your grass during the growing season. The temperatures are high, the humidity's high, there's some disease pressure that can happen. So today I'm going to teach you some things that you can do to help keep your grass nice and green throughout the entire summer. Recently, we've had pretty warm temperatures. It's been in the upper 80s and low 90s. We've had a lot of humidity. And as a lawn care fanatic, whenever I see those temperatures, I think lawn disease. And a couple common diseases that are around, one would be dollar spot, brown spot, any kind of fungus that can happen on your grass. It's early morning right now. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is my favorite time to kind of walk around the lawn and analyze what's going on, and I'm starting to see a few signs of those disease. Like I said, dollar spot, that's something that I've seen pop up a little bit around my yard. Now, I've already put down Scott's Disease X, so if I hadn't done that, I'm sure this would have been a lot worse, but I'm going to show you how you can tell if you have a fungus in your yard or not. This is an example of dollar spot right here. It's just barely starting, but I can tell because of the yellow blades. And when I came out this morning, it looked like little spider webs that were on here. Well, that's not spider webs. That's the beginning of some fungus that's going to start. You can kind of see right here. This looks like a new beginning of some dollar spot too. It looks like there's a spider web on there. That's fungus that's starting to build in the grass. Here's another spot that I found of some dollar spot. Again, you can just see the blades of grass are starting to turn a little bit yellow, and it had that spider web look to it. And you can see the granular I put on there. I put some Scott's Disease X directly on there. And I'm gonna spread that preventatively throughout the rest of the lawn, because when it comes to yard fungus, lawn fungus, it's a lot easier to prevent than it is to cure. Once you've already got it, it's tough to get rid of. So these tiny little patches that you see, they're not real big, but I want to make sure I take care of them before they start to spread and become an issue. If I take care of them now, they should be gone in about a week. Since I noticed the beginning of some fungus starting to occur in my lawn, this is what I'm going to put down today, Scott's Disease X. It's a fungicide, and it's going to prevent the most common types of fungus, things like dollar spot, brown patch. There's a bunch of different types of fungus, but those are the two common ones that affect our cool season grass. So I'm going to put this down at the preventative rate. The areas where I found the actual fungus, the tiny little dollar spot, just by hand I'm going to grab that and I'm going to give it a little bit more to try to help get rid of that and make sure that it doesn't spread. So I've gone over everything at the preventative rate. That's going to help prevent future disease or any kind of fungus that's going to come up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and find any of those little dollar spots, because I found some around the yard, and that's pretty common. It's almost impossible to prevent that from happening. But I'm going to go to them. I'm just going to grab a little bit more of that Disease X and sprinkle it around that area, and we'll see if we can find some of that. Here's an example right here of a little bit of dollar spot that I just found. So I'm going to take some and just sprinkle that right there over that spot. So that's going to be the curative rate. Here's a little bit more. You can just tell by the leaf blades that are starting to turn a little bit white. It's almost like you bleached them with tenacity is what it's going to look like. A couple other tiny little spots. And like I said, it's best to take care of these now, because if you don't do anything and you just wait for them to go away on their own, they're going to spread and they're going to get a lot bigger. Aside from taking care of diseases and any other things that pop up in the yard, it could be weeds, whatever, the next most important thing to do is make sure that you're watering your lawn, or that it's getting enough water, whether that be by rain or an irrigation system, or you pulling the hose out and getting the sprinkler out. But grass during the summertime, when it's really hot, it needs that water, and if it doesn't get it, it's going to turn brown, like I mentioned previously. I absolutely love living on the lake. It's really awesome, and honestly one of my favorite perks of this is the fact that we have an irrigation system that pumps out of the lake. So our water bill doesn't go up at all, and we've got unlimited water out here that we can use. I use it to water my flowers, the grass, and it's like spreading slow release nitrogen all the time, because there's nitrogen in that water from the poop from the fish, just from natural breakdown of organic matter in the lake. So it's like I'm basically spreading out low dose fertilizer every time I water, and I'm going to show you the system that we have. It's pretty cool. So right here is our beach area. We've got about 6 feet of beach, and you can see it looks like a big long pipe that comes out here. It's just a PVC pipe. There's a check valve. That little black part right there is a check valve, so the water can get sucked in this way. But then when I turn off the sprinkler, the check valve closes and the water doesn't go back out into the lake. That way it keeps prime, and whenever I flip that switch, it's gonna be ready to go again. So this is the next part of the sprinkler system. So the intake pipe runs all the way underneath the grass right here, underneath the sidewalk, and it comes up to this point. This runs it into the pump, which is inside, and then it sends it out through these 2 different zones. So this zone right here is for the front yard, and this zone right here is for the backyard and the side area over there. I really like this system. It's old school. I have to turn the knobs myself. I don't have the new solenoid that's running off my cell phone. So I have to get out and I've got to do a little bit more work, but I don't mind that. Another thing that's really cool is this middle part right here. This is a hose connection. So if I want to, I can run the hose directly from my sprinkler pump, and all I have to do is disconnect this part right here from the spigot. If it's already connected to my hose, all I have to do is disconnect that, put it on to the sprinkler system, and if I open up that valve while the sprinkler's going, that lake water is going to come pumping out of my hose, so I can water my flowers with it. And if there's any areas that maybe the sprinklers don't hit because of the wind that day, I can easily get out and hand water those spots with the lake water. Also, something that's nice about this, at the end of the season when it's time to blow out the sprinklers, it's easy to connect right here onto this spot and blow out the whole system. It makes it really simple with an air compressor. So right now I'm in my basement, and this is where the sprinkler pump is located. So the sprinkler pump's right here. I've got a switch right in this spot, so whenever I want to turn the sprinklers on, I just have to come down to the basement, flip that switch, and that water is going to start pumping to whatever zone is open at that time. The last step to keeping your lawn nice and green throughout the summertime is mowing frequently. And the old rule has always been don't cut off more than 1/3 of the grass blade at a time. If you do, it's going to damage the grass a little bit. It's going to stress it out, and it's going to make it turn yellow. So I mow the backyard every 2 days. Now, does that mean I'm crazy? Yes. Yes, it does. It's time to mow today. Like I said, I mow the backyard every other day because I maintain it at such a short height that I have to maintain it that way. But before I cut the grass, a couple things that I do. One is I check the reel to bed knife, and the second thing is I check the height of cut. So I'm going to show you how I check the height of cut. So here's how I check the height of cut on this. Again, it's not the usual way of doing this. You can buy an expensive height of cut gauge, but they cost a couple $100, and I don't want to spend money on that. So I take my level right here, I rest it on the drum, and then I rest it in a straight line up to the front roller. Then I take my tape measure, I hang it right here from the bed knife, and then right where that touches, it tells me exactly what my height of cut is. And right now it's right on 5/8 of an inch on this side. So I need to check the other side also. So I hang it right on there. I have to move the blade a little bit. And then right where it touches, same thing. It's right exactly on 5/8 of an inch. So that's an easy way you can check your height of cut. If you have a greens mower and you maybe don't have an expensive gauge, this way works really well also. Today's Tuesday, June 23rd. We've had hot temperatures, and quite honestly, the yard couldn't look better. Very happy with the way things are going. The first year cutting with a reel mower at 5/8 of an inch. Got the stripes looking pretty good. Sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. As usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.